Good morning, everyone. My name is Miranda Rosen, and I am the very lucky MLA for beautiful Banff, Kananaskis, where we are today. I am so thrilled to be joined today with two of my colleagues from the Government of Alberta, Minister Jeremy Nixon of Seniors, Community and Social Services, as well as Minister Matt Jones from Affordability and Utilities. Additionally, we are lucky to have both Mayor Dumano from the town of Banff, as well as Mayor Krausert with us today as the Mayor of Canmore, as well as Martin Bean, the Chief Administrative Officer for the Bow Valley Regional Transit Services Commission. Here in the Bow Valley, we are so proud of our efficient and aesthetically beautiful, I would say, Rome transit buses and transportation system. Over the past few years, our government has continuously supported the Rome transit system by providing nearly $1.2 million of operational funding through the Restore program, $1 million to launch a new transit option connecting Canmore to Kananaskis, as well as by funding the purchase of 3 additional electric buses to our fleet over the years. Rome Transit has played such a pivotal role in helping our Bow Valley communities manage our high visitation and traffic congestion in Canada's most iconic Rocky Mountain destinations, while also providing cost-effective transportation options for local residents to get around and between their communities for work and for play. It's no surprise that battling affordability is a top challenge here in the Bow Valley, with our living wage now peaking above $30 an hour. Our government has taken measures to reduce the costs of essential transportation, such as eliminating the fuel tax for 6 months. But still, we recognize that many Albertans, rely on public transit to get around, and that is why we are here today for this announcement. I'm so excited to welcome Ministers Nixon and Jones with me to announce the expansion of affordability supports for Albertans here in Banff, Kananaskis, and all across the province. I would first like to invite Minister Jeremy Nixon, our Minister of Seniors, Community and Social Services, to provide details of today's announcement, and then we will welcome Minister Matt Jones as well, our Minister of Affordability and Utilities, who I would note has created far more expansive affordability package than only what is being discussed today. From monthly savings for seniors and parents, to electricity rebates, to retroactive tax indexation, his affordability package will be saving every Albertan a minimum of about $900 over the next 6 months. But anyways, let's get on to today's exciting announcement. I'll first welcome up Minister Nixon.
Thank you, MLA Rosen, for that introduction, and welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us here today. I am honored to be here in one of the most beautiful, arguably the most beautiful place in Alberta and likely the world. I also want to thank Mayor Dumano and Mayor Krausert. I apologize, that is terribly embarrassing. Krausert. And Martin Bean for having us here today at this facility. Oh man, I'm not going to live that one down, I apologize. I want to start by talking about the realities for some who rely on subsidized transit programs for their daily transportation in our communities. Many Albertans are commuting to various places throughout their communities each and every day. That means everything they do, whether that is getting groceries, going to work, refilling medication, or seeing their doctor, thousands of Albertans rely on public transportation. With the inflation crisis making it more expensive to drive, many Albertans are depending on public transit to access their communities. But with inflation eating away at their budget, even a transit pass is becoming more and more difficult for many Albertans. Our government is focused on making life more affordable for Albertans. We have already announced numerous initiatives, including increasing core social benefits, providing rebates on utilities, investing in food banks, and providing monthly affordability payments. But this crisis is far-reaching, and we can and need to do more, which is why we are here today. Alberta's government is committed to helping Albertans move through their communities to access their jobs, education, healthcare, and many other community and government services. But we know that the ever-increasing costs of basic needs are eating away at people's budgets, making it even more difficult to afford a transit pass. Today, I'm pleased to announce that we are investing $15 million to serve Albertans who depend on low-income transit passes in our communities. $9 million of that funding has been allocated to Calgary and Edmonton and has allowed them to continue piloting their low-income transit passes in those communities. $6 million in new funding has been allocated specifically to support municipalities outside of Edmonton and Calgary that have transit systems and currently offer low-income transit programs. This will expand low-income transit pass programs in more communities like Canmore and Banff. This funding is allowing us to contribute to programs in Calgary and Edmonton and expand funding to more communities right across this province. Since 2017, the government has been providing funding to Edmonton and Calgary for their affordable transit pass programs on a cost-share basis. In 2022-2023, funding will be available for 10 communities that already have transit programs for low-income riders. Based on current estimates, this is expected to cost about $4.7 million. The total amount may vary based on actual operating costs in which municipalities choose to apply. Details on how communities can access the funding will be provided directly to municipalities that are eligible. In addition, we will continue to work with our community partners to identify other ways Alberta's government can support Albertans in need of affordable and accessible transit. And we will be exploring options to further expand to all municipalities that are in the process of establishing a low-income transit system. This could include up to 12 more communities across the province. We know that this crisis is creating undue pain and worry for many Albertans. Our economy has recovered, which has put us in a great place to be able to provide relief for Albertans during this time. Our Inflation Relief Act includes many broad-based and targeted relief measures that will leave money in the pockets of Albertans and help them through this crisis. And of course, the leader on this within our government has been Minister Jones with the Affordability Relief Act. And now I'd like to welcome Minister Jones up to share a few words.
Good morning. As the Minister of Affordability, it's great to be here to help announce new funding that will make public transit more accessible and affordable in communities across the province. We know that affordability is the primary challenge facing Albertans today. The cost of living has increased rapidly, putting pressure on households. We also know that this is a time of record inflation, and rising prices is especially difficult for low-income and vulnerable Albertans. This investment will provide much-needed relief to those who rely on public transit to get to work, school, or the grocery store, and for accessing healthcare and government services. For those individuals and families, the money they save on transportation can be instead used to improve their quality of life, such as putting more nutritious food on the table. In Calgary, for example, under the Low-Income Transit Pass program, the cost of an adult monthly pass drops from over $100 to as low as $56, $39, or $5.60, depending on income. These are real savings that can have a big impact on the lives of Albertans with limited financial means. It means that everyone can better access and participate in their community, and it means significant long-term benefits for the broader community and our province as a whole. I want to thank Minister Nixon for his leadership and advocacy on this initiative. As he touched on already, it is another important step in our Affordability Action Plan, which helps Albertans get through the present affordability crisis and build for a stronger future. This is one more in a growing list of critical supports we are providing to families, seniors, and vulnerable Albertans, including the $600 support payments, which have begun going out just yesterday. I'm proud to note that as of January 31st, nearly 900,000 children, seniors, and Albertans on core support programs received their first of up to 6 $100 affordability payments. In addition to targeted supports for those who need it most, we are also providing broad-based relief to help all Albertans this winter and beyond. This includes up to $500 in electricity rebates, hundreds of dollars in fuel tax relief, 6% indexation on core benefit programs, including AISH, the Seniors Benefit and Income Support, and natural gas and electricity price protection. Many components of our action plan will continue to provide support for Albertans well into the future. These include our natural gas rebates and fuel tax relief, which have been indexed and made permanent. Just earlier this week, we announced with the federal government affordability measures for childcare that will save parents hundreds of dollars each month. Going forward, we will continue to work to support Albertans through this inflation crisis and to keep Alberta affordable. And now I'd like to invite Mayor D'Amato to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Jones. I'm so pleased to welcome you and Minister Nixon to the mountains, and thank you so much for sharing such welcome news for Banff and Canmore. Banff has long been an advocate of supporting low-income transit, offering the first passes to people living with low incomes in our community in March 2007. Today, we see approximately 500 low-income transit passes issued a year. So we know this initiative is making a real difference in the lives of Banff residents, which is why it's so wonderful to see the government of Alberta become a partner in funding this program in our small community, in addition to supporting larger cities too. We know transportation is one of the highest monthly costs for folks, so this initiative will make it even more affordable to take public transit in the Bow Valley. The town of Banff followed Canmore's lead and last year made transit free for residents. The provincial funding will help support that goal and enhance connectivity between Bow Valley communities. For those of you who don't know, Rome Public Transit started right here in Banff, and we are so proud of how Rome Public Transit continues to grow and evolve into a world-class and equitable experience for all transit users. We thank residents and visitors for the record ridership on Rome last year with 1.65 million riders, which is an 8.5% increase over the previous record in 2019. On behalf of the community, thank you for helping us to achieve our goals of making Banff a more affordable place to live and on developing a robust, sustainable transportation network for everyone. It is now my pleasure to introduce my colleague from just a short 20-minute bus ride down the valley, Canmore's Mayor Krausert.
Greetings, everyone. Honorable Ministers, MLA Rosen, Mayor DiMano. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. There are four things that drive up the cost of living, especially in the Bow Valley. Housing, that's the really big one here. And the others are transportation, food, and for those with children, childcare. In our municipalities, to address these crucial things for everyday life, we absolutely need the support from other levels of government. The town of Canmore is actively involved in conversations with the province around housing. The province has made some recent positive announcements around childcare, and today I'm so glad to be here talking about public transit. Public transit is absolutely essential in combating the high cost of living, and today's announcement helps municipal programs for low-income passes do exactly that. Here in the Bow Valley, we are very proud of Rome Transit, and we know for a fact that subsidizing transit increases ridership and improves the lives of people. In the coming years, we look to increase the reach and frequency of transit in the town of Canmore and in the region, and provincial programs such as this are an important step in helping us move in that direction. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce the CAO for Banff or Bow Valley Regional Transit Services Commission, Martin Bean.
Thank you, Mayor Krausert, and thank you, Minister Nixon, Minister Jones, and MLA Rosen for bringing this exciting announcement to the Bow Valley. I'm thrilled to be here today to show appreciation for the funding allocated to low-income transit in Alberta. The BVR TSC operates Rome Transit in and around Banff National Park. We're a collaboration of the towns of Banff and Canmore and Improvement District 9. We also receive additional operational funding support from private groups such as hotels and attraction operators, and of course from the federal government through Parks Canada. And so much of our infrastructure, like our growing electric fleet, is thanks to funding from the government of Alberta. Our mission is to enable residents and visitors to move throughout the Bow Valley without needing a private vehicle and the associated costs for fuel, insurance, and maintenance. Transit is essential for many purposes, including commuting to work, attending medical appointments, picking up groceries, or traveling for recreational opportunities. It needs to be accessible for all, frequent, reliable, and of course, affordable. With increasing costs being seen on all fronts, low-income fare programs are essential to ensure that transit helps offset the gap between income and rising expenses. Public transit is here to support everyone in the community, and programs such as the one being announced today are critical to make transit accessible for all now and into the future. We're proud to deliver on that promise for everyone. On behalf of the Commission, I commend Minister Nixon, Minister Jones, and the Alberta government as they continue to support public transit.
All right, that moves us into our Q&A. We'll first check here on the floor. Does anyone have questions in the room? So just please state your name and outlet. Mike's right there. Yeah, just state your name and outlet, and then just one question, one follow-up.
Yeah, Mark Villani, CTV Calgary. Question for Minister Nixon and Minister Jones. Just talking about, it's this great initiative for affordable transit, but what about increasing safety initiatives? I know that there's been a lot of concern in Calgary, specifically in the downtown area, at C-train platforms, people taking transit. People are concerned about their safety, and I know Edmonton has now deployed sheriffs in their downtown. Are there any plans for that same plan to happen in Calgary? Can we talk a little bit about that as well?
For sure, and I don't want to take too much away from Minister Ellis in regards to some of the initiatives he's taking and collaborating with the cities to ensure that we have safety for folks using transit and safety for folks on in our communities. But we are, similar to Edmonton, we have the Edmonton Task Force. We also have the Calgary Task Force, and so similar discussions are taking place at that level to make sure that we're working towards helping our most vulnerable in our community, but also making sure that spaces are safe for everybody.
Is there any timeline on when we could potentially see sheriffs arrive in Calgary's downtown? Do we have any inclination of when that could happen?
Again, that's probably a question that's best asked for Minister Ellis, as I don't want to step on his toes.
Perfect. And anyone else in the room?
Yeah, Jamie from Global News in Calgary. I guess this is for the mayors. Just wondering, how will this directly impact people here? Will it be cheaper to ride? What is it going to look like? Are they going to have to still pay? Are you going to add more buses? What are you going to do with it?
Well, the details are still things that we need to apply to our specific programs. My understanding in general is that it will help us be able to provide the services that we provide for free, as well as provide those transit passes for locals. So it just helps the whole system, and therefore our dollars that we have can go farther to improve our transit system for everyone.
And what's the gap right now?
The gap?
Yeah, where's the gap right now in the programs that are running currently? And are they going to be totally free for locals, or would it just be cheaper?
Currently, in both municipalities, it's totally free, and we can't get any cheaper than that.
In Banff, you have to pay to...
For residents, it's totally free. I don't want to speak for Mayor Demano.
I've paid.
But, what it allows our operating dollars to, it reinforces our transit system so that they can actually be even better for all involved, that we can improve our system, and those dollars allow other dollars to increase frequency, look at different routes, etc. So it just helps bolster the system and allows us that foundation to provide those services that we do for free or at reduced rates. And it makes it more sustainable going into the future. And I don't know if Mayor Demano has anything you'd like to add.
I got cold. I would certainly echo what Mayor Krauser is saying about just being able to then allocate funding toward bolstering the system as a whole. But just for clarification, last year, May 2022, the town of Banff started offering transit fare free to residents. So you just have to go down to the transit office and you can get a pass there, but it still does cost for those who aren't residents who don't have a pass.
And let's just, one more sweep, sorry, just in the room before checking the phone lines. Okay. Go ahead.
Greg Colgan from the Rocky Mountain Outlook. Sorry, not speaking. Yeah, obviously with Banff and Canmore and Lake Louise service being free for at least local residents, in Canmore it's obviously free for everybody. With whatever funding is going to be allocated for the valley here, does that just get put into general reserves, or how is that going to be allocated since service is already free?
Let's put it this way. There's a certain amount of dollars that require to offer us free transit. And that goes to support everyone but it also supports those who are in our affordability services programs. And what these dollars allow is for the other dollars that would have been used for that to go further. And so it bolsters the fact, and it entrenches the low transit pass here, provides that service, it allows it to go further, and it allows us to make sure that we are able to offer on our regional services, which are not free, those passes are able to continue and perhaps expand. So there's a net benefit to both communities and to the entire region through this program.
And do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, is there kind of a dollar figure that we know that's coming locally for that right now, or is that to be ironed out still?
So that's to be ironed out through the application process
Okay, is there a timeline for when that's going to be figured out?
as soon as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a good question.
Helen Pike, CBC. I am curious, in the Bow Valley, how many, this might not be for you, but how many people overall, both, I know you said Banff, but also for Canmore, how many people are applying for these low-income passes for those regional routes? Is there an overall number? Do we know, like, a ballpark on that?
Also want to emphasize this announcement is also for, I think, a number of other communities right across the province as well. So it's going to have an impact in numerous communities, not just the Bow Valley, but I'll let the mayor answer that question.
You know, the specifics on the numbers, those can be easily made available. You would have to check with administration on that. I don't have those numbers at hand. Okay.
I can ask a
Did you have a
follow-up
follow-up? Yeah.
question for the minister. So it is something that communities have to apply to, and I believe you did say that communities already must have an affordable transit or an affordability program ongoing. Since many more rural communities don't, some of them don't even have transit, or they're just starting their transit kind of journey, you know, how will this benefit them?
Sure, it's a great question. So specifically, we wanted to start where we can help expand on what's already working. The provincial government has been also exploring opportunities to help improve transportation in our more remote communities. And that's something that we'll continue to work on to try and figure out how do we help improve access to transportation, especially for lower income people in more remote communities. But we don't have a definitive plan yet kind of worked out.
I'd just like to add that in addition to what Minister Nixon just indicated, we are, of course, reducing the cost of commuting for all Albertans by reducing the fuel tax. It saves Albertans 13.6 cents a litre on gasoline and diesel. And we also just recently announced a freeze on automobile rate increases. So we are taking action across the board to support Albertans, especially as it relates to their transportation costs. Thank you.
Perfect. Seeing no one else at the mic, I think that wraps up our announcement today. Thank you.